The first of the trends which he talked about was the comparison in time from 2004 to 2014, right? And we talked about that at that point of time, there were almost 80% of the CEOs who felt very optimistic. And the reasons are very clear, as she articulated, that there was a sense of euphoria at that point of time, and everybody was feeling gung-ho. And then in 2014, while the immediate view which CEOs have, perhaps because of the impending elections and the uncertainty over result, etc., is they are very unsure about which way India is going to go. But then in a 3 years period, the survey said that they are far more optimistic. Now, that obviously is because there are inherent strengths which India has, whether it is the great consumer class or the talent part and the so-called demographic dividend, etc. So I guess that's very clear. The second trend which Padamja also talked about was India slipping in terms of how the world views India and other territories, and India appears to have slipped from last year to this year from 5th to 6th spot. Now, if you ask me, I wouldn't make too much out of falling from 5th to 6th spot, because if you actually see the countries who have actually taken over ahead of India, UK and Germany, in terms of substantive points, and as a function of that, India has come down to 6. So I wouldn't make much of it, except that I have two concerns coming from each one of this. The first of the concern is that unless we actually do a proper job on skill the younger generation, I think we are going to see a situation where this demographic dividend may actually be a demographic deficit, as many people have said. And I think a whole lot of attention needs to be put on that, and that's a major concern which I have, where we may falter. The second one is that while I'm not concerned too much about India slipping from 5th to 6th in a survey, but there is a concern in my mind that when we talk about the mega trends and see that there is an economic path shift from developed countries to the developing countries or emerging countries, and India being one of the emerging countries is a part of that pool. My concern is that if India does not act on a couple of things which is bothering the investors today, and that's what I hear from various of our clients, and those two concerns I would put as one, the governance part, which was very rightly picked up by TK, and another is a very consistent regulations, and not having many of the instances of the one we have seen in the recent past on the retrospective effect amendments and things like that. They actually do bother investors. So my concern from there is that while the emerging market story remains strong, the investors of the world may drift away from India and go to the other BRICS countries, or perhaps the newer emerging countries of Vietnam or Malaysia or what have you. And so if India misses the bus from an emerging markets point of view, this will be our own falling, and that's my second concern.